Gonna be a heavy one. Anyone who knows me is not going to be even a little bit surprised when I'm bringing this up. This is something I'm so passionate about that I speak about often. At least once a week, I'm talking about it to somebody. I believe this issue is at the core of so many other issues in our society. And for some reason, we really don't talk about it. Don't worry, I'll bring it up. I'm Regina Lex. You're watching Veritas on the Rocks, and this is my pretty little soapbox. Children are not accessories. How to save society. Children nowadays are often looked upon as accessories in society. They have to be fit into the parent's life at just the right moment. Don't want a child? Preventable. Want a child? Go for it. Struggling to have that child? There's ways we can help you. But it always seems to be that the child must be fit into the parent's life at just the right moment. Whether dream jobs are landed, or degrees earned, or houses bought. Now, there's nothing wrong with being responsible and planning reasonably for a child. That is not what I mean to address. What I mean to address is the mentality that has seemed to permeate our society. The mentality that children exist for the pleasure of their parents. I don't oftentimes encounter the mentality of potential parents being that of, oh, I'm ready to have a child that I can pour everything of myself into so that they can go off and make the world a better place. Or, I'm ready to pour everything of myself into a child, even if it means I have to suffer. No, the mentality that I most often encounter is, okay, ready to have a baby now. How am I going to fit this kid into my life? It never seems to be that parents are aware of how much they have to change in order to become for that little person what that human being needs them to be. Nobody's really eager to change anything about themselves. It's rather uncomfortable. And certainly, people don't anticipate having to miss out on anything that they want. People simply want to have children and then fit them into their lives somehow. There's an issue with this. There's an underlying mentality that is bad. It teaches children from a very young age that they exist for the pleasure of their parents. And quite frankly, our society teaches people right off the bat that if their parents don't want them, they can just get rid of them. If a child is conceived at an unfortunate time for the parents, the child is referred to as an accident. Let that sink in. Suddenly, it's no longer a person, but it's someone who's now an obstacle to what someone else wanted. Therefore, their personhood is downplayed. Their entire being depends on whether or not they were wanted or planned. All of a sudden, this person's personhood is stripped away because it's all dictated by whether or not they came at a good time for the parents. I didn't necessarily want to become pregnant on my wedding night, but my husband and I, being scientifically aware of people and tracking my cycle, we knew to anticipate it. We also knew that we wanted to have our two oldest children as close in age as possible, simply so that they had each other to grow up with, to thrive and be best friends. When my son was 4 months old, I held him and I said, "You need a brother, not I want another son." When my daughter was older, my husband looked at her and then looked at me and said, "She needs a sister, not I want another girl." I had 4 children born in less than 4 years, before my 4th wedding anniversary. But I don't regret any of it for a moment, because here's the thing. We had children for God, for one another, and to hopefully make society a better place. We love our children, but they are not our accessories. We were aware of how much we would suffer and how much we'd have to change to become for them what they need. And even now, with 4 very different personalities, that seems like I'm wearing a lot of different hats. People will ask me, how did you prepare for something like that, having so many children so young? And I'll tell them, there's really no way you can prepare for something like that. You can't really be ready for anything. You have no idea what the future will hold. You just have to hold to your values and know that you're acting with integrity. Too many couples are having children and simply trying to fit them into their lives around their careers or hobbies or whatever. They're not raising their children properly. It takes too much effort, or it's far more than they anticipated. What we're left with is adults who don't understand how to love. They didn't feel loved and they were never taught how to love. What we're left with is a society of self-absorbed adults that treat other people terribly and have unreasonable expectations. We're left with a hookup culture and a dating pool that is abysmal. We're left with broken adults who don't feel love or affirmation, and a society with a suicide and depression rate skyrocketing. It all comes back down to the fact that they just didn't get what they needed in their childhood, for whatever reason. Is this always the case with everyone? Absolutely not. But look at our society. I know so many people my age who are cutting their own parents out of their lives, citing abuse or neglect. Guess what? The cycle is only repeating. In about 15 years, you're going to have tons of teenagers and young adults cutting their parents out of their lives, most likely citing that their parents put too much of their personal information on the internet. We have an entire generation of people who couldn't potty train in privacy. And that's disrespect. The veritas is that children are people who become adults and citizens who either make the world a better place or leave it worse off. They need to know that they are not accessories. They don't exist for the desire of their parents. They aren't happy accidents, and they are valuable. And until our children start understanding that, we are only going to have this cycle of broken adults. We need to be aware of the changes that happen to us, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and we need to become the people that our children need us to be. We need to become the parents society needs us to be, to raise a batch of happy, well-adjusted adults to carry on humanity. Babies are too important to simply be add-ins in someone's life. They should become the focal point of their parents' life as soon as they are conceived. And that truth not being acknowledged is what has filled society with so much selfishness and indifference towards our fellow man. Don't like how the world is right now? Go love a child. That is the surest way to make the world a better place. Politicians do not save countries. The family will be what restores society. And it all begins with how we view our children, accessories or unique citizens.